continue.
Yes, and here we are today on this sunny afternoon in the Netherlands, and I guess also in Belgium, where our guest for today, Mr. Gerald Westhoff. Hopefully I pronounced your name in an English way, best way. And we have two ladies who decided to just join the conversation, the interview today, and that is Denise van Geelbergen and Caroline van Gassel. All right. Just for the record, at any moment that either the sound or the image has some kind of challenges, just stay tuned and continue to follow our conversation. The reason why I decided to be in a dialogue and a conversation today with Gerald, that's how you pronounce the name of Gerald in Dutch. Anyway, the reason why I decided to do that is because first of all, it's a source of information and a source of inspiration. And that is what inspires me as well to continue to do what I'm doing with a platform that I started quite, not that long ago. What I would love to do is to actually allow the person himself or herself to introduce himself in this case, and to take us into the mind, but also the heart and the soul of you. So.
Okay, thank you very much for introducing me, Rula, and also thanks to Caroline and Denise to be present. And I don't care how you pronounce my name. Sometimes I even forget what is my name. I'm getting better and better at forgetting things. Actually, I used to make fun because I've been living internationally in various countries. And in Dutch, I don't like to be called in my Dutch name that much because it has a very strong G. And now I'm living in Belgium and it's much softer. And in France, it's Gerald. But I even have a Japanese name, which is Jiro. And I used to work a lot with Japanese. And they only know me, some of them, with my Japanese name. And in Chinese, I use Hehua. So yeah, it's a very international name, but the funny thing is French or Dutch people usually spell it wrongly. So it's really the English Gerald with an L. And my last name, family name, is Westhoff, double F, which indicates that there is German roots in our family. There is a little town, Westhoff. And additionally, there is also a coffee producer, which is Westhoff. So when I'm taking a cup of coffee and I order my own coffee, it's like Westhoff on the cup. And yeah, I like to be in Germany on holidays and order my cup of coffee like that.
Wow, awesome! What a colorful semi-introduction of you. But before you continue to share with us, who is Gerald? Who is this man? And I would like to go back a little bit to the moment that me and you we became acquaintance. I mean, do you remember? Do you have any idea how that happened?
Actually, yes. Here in Belgium, we have. I'm the co-founder of or the initiator of the Belgian Assembly. And that is a group of people who are coming together. And from there, by the way, I know Caroline and Denise also thinks that. Actually, Caroline, I met her on the Fusion Festival first, real life, and then she joined us. So the funny thing is, there was somebody, the chairman from Holland, joining our Belgian assembly. Oh no, it was not the assembly actually. It was before the assembly. It was at the Sundays morning. Yeah, we have a group of not really called activists, but people who have a lot of background, and we had to connect through Zoom. not real life anymore. And we've been doing that regularly on Sunday mornings through internet. And those groups are important to connect with each other because you can share the information how you're doing, especially during that lockdown period. And for that reason, actually, the Dutch chairman of the assembly joined, and he was talking, and he had asked you and Dwight to join then at that time. And when you were talking, something resonated, so I contacted you in a direct message in the Zoom because you were saying you were coming over to Belgium, and I said, let's meet up here, which was then arranged by the universe to not take place at that moment, but still, despite all of that, we kept in touch. I'm not going into too many details for that, but things really synchronized, they resonated. So sometimes we end up in a Zoom. I remember one, and it's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And
What you
yeah. So when timelines are interconnecting at a regular interval effortlessly, then you know, okay, there is something to be co-created. I use this word, and that means that something has to come. I call it the coinciding of things, the synergy of things, the synchronicity. That is really important. Once you start to view things in that, that it's not coincidence as usually people use, but that it's really already inside, and we just need to open ourselves for that. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
Definitely, definitely. It's part of the answer, I would say, and the rest will come during our conversation.
Yeah. So just to talk about this group of people, a lot of initiatives have risen out of it, and one of the initiatives is this Belgian Assembly. And the purpose of that is to create a better world together, or the new world which already exists. And we don't usually want to spend our time and energy on a way of things that we already know that we don't want. If we spend our time and energy on, let's say, the great reset, I call it the great crash, then it doesn't help. But the great buildup is what people have to do together. Nobody has written a book for us about that, although there are many books. But we have to create this, this new earth, and that is what the assembly is doing, trying to restore the environment, create new projects, how we would like to do it as human beings. Nobody else, as it is today, the 14th day of the war with Ukraine and Russia, and I like to call it a war and nothing else, that something is. Nobody in the whole world wants a great crash. Nobody wants a great war. It's only a few people who are spending their time and energy on that. But if you ask the average person in any country, they simply don't want this to happen. And still it happens. All these things happen. And that is because of the people. They are not being heard. They are not being welcomed to have their own voice. They are disempowered. And to empower them, self-empowerment, self-realization, that is the work which I'm guiding people to become realized.
I would like you to share with us a little bit more on the last part that you said, that self-realization. What is it that makes it so challenging for people to do that? What is it? And how did you find yourself helping, supporting, enabling people to do that? Why so challenging, this self-realization, that all this, could I use the word gurus or gurus wannabes, or what is it that makes it so challenging? What do you think?
Actually, it's the simplest thing there is. It's so very simple. Once you've let go of everything that's not essential, only the essence remains. And once the essence becomes without any doubt true, felt, lived experience, then that there is a quality of clarity. And adopting is only a quality of saying, okay, I don't know it, and there is nothing wrong with not knowing it. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with not feeling okay. Once you are okay with not being okay, then you get into this space. And I see that Caroline would like to join, but you're unmuted. Please unmute yourself.
If I may add something, you talk about let go of what is not essential, but that's a very important point because you have to be able to point out what is not essential. There is a lot of misunderstandings.
Exactly. And even letting go of the letting go, I mean, it's not something you do, it's a being. The essence of it is not even the beingness, and then we become beyond words, etc., and then becomes a non-dual story, which probably we have some time to also go into some details. And through experience, through direct experience, we understand what is essential. And I don't want to confuse things, because it's sometimes so extremely simple, because it's the essence. It is growing like a ball, and it appears very complex. Once you put a seed in the ground and it will grow, when you come back in 100 years, there is a forest. And since you have not seen all the steps in between, it looks like, wow, it's so complex with all these different branches and roots and fruits and leaves and even a whole ecosystem. But it's all in essence in this one little seed. And is the seed the forest, or is the forest the seed? So I don't want to make it too philosophical today. So once we understand how simple it is and that it is complex at the same time, these are interconnected, and I call them simplex. I like this word because it is unifying everything. Yeah. This morning, somebody said to me, Gerald, zoom in and zoom out. And I say, yes, it's a wonderful way of being there at both these places. So what's going on in the world now? If we are zooming into this daily life and the bombs are exploding next to us, but if you zoom out to say, let's 100 years again, then what is happening today is not the biggest problem in the whole universe. And in 1 million years. And if we look back at, for the dinosaurs, it was important to survive, but still something happened. Life as such does not judge. There is no judging in nature. There is no good and bad in nature. There is opposites. There is differences. And that gives a nice playing field, just like the sea is totally neutral. But for the waves, there is not even a judgment. Only for the person who's in a little boat going over it and going like, whoa, like a roller coaster of life. And that makes it interesting, because as human mammals, as human beings, we are recognizing these patterns, and that's part of our life and our interpretation. And we can talk about filters, how we perceiving things apparently through some senses, and then we try to make sense of our senses. But still our perception is different. That's why I'm happy that Caroline is here, you are here, Denise is here, because if Gerald has only these filters, he doesn't know that these filters are in place if he's used to it. And if you're used to these, then you go like, oh, it's so nice to have different points of view, and to respect each other's differences. And that is, before we started this talk, I just said we need different fingers. If we only had 10 times the same finger, we would not be able to do the same things we can do with different fingers.
Well, I don't know if the answer has been given to you, Caroline.
Well, it's not so much the answer, but Gerald is going perfectly well. It's very, very interesting.
Very nice. Well, I do understand that you claim, and I will put it like this, you claim to, because you do nothing at all, actually you claim to help in this way the people that you, could I use the word treat? Or the people that you give counseling, or the people that you have sessions with due to your work. And please enlighten us more on what this profession that you do, what does it mean? How do you do it? But you said to me, well, I do nothing actually. I was like, that's interesting. I'd love to hear what do you mean? I do nothing.
Yeah, okay. So linguistics, language is always confusing, and Confucius said it's confusing, or wise things in the same. And if a fool says it, or from ignorance things are said, or from another space things are said, and there are different qualities. Like you asked about guru. Guru means in Sanskrit a good neighbor. Well, we have in our little villages here in Belgium and Holland, small villages, the old and wise people, just like they have with the Indians or the other native people in the world, and they have the experience and they give it on to other people. That is the meaning of a good neighbor, and they take care of that this is transferred on. And this human wisdom is much more than we can just say. It's customs, it's traditions, it's music, it's language, it's art, it's how to build your house. For example, how we give birth. Here, people are being forced in a certain way, and if a doula comes and you give birth naturally in water, for example, then that is considered strange by others. There is this Indian tribe, and this Indian tribe, they are coming together, the ladies, the women, at time of birth, and they start laughing. And who's telling the best jokes? And while laughing, they give birth, and this little baby comes out with a very nice round head without having the contraction towards the sphenoid bone, etc. That's more the osteopathy. And the same like in Africa, there is this tribe where when the parents are pregnant, they sing this soul song. It's being channeled to them, to this little child inside the womb. And they sing it at time of birth, and they sing it when this child later is ill or forgot and did something. And they sit then in a circle, and this person, this girl or boy, is sitting in the middle, and the whole tribe sings this soul song to this person, and he or she remembers from source where she or he is coming from. And this morning simply the image comes, like, how should we do if we put Bill Gates in there, or Fauci in there, or any person, Putin for me, or we all put them all together. We are one tribe, and I usually say, okay, we are much more the same than we're different. And in current way of upbringing, we are bringing attention to where we're different, instead of like we do in osteopathy. We bring attention to wholeness, to what is already whole. Now, that is one part of the answer. Now, doing something, we are inclined that there is a person or a doer with ER behind it. And if we start looking, we cannot find a looker and what is seen. There is no seer between what the seeing and what is seen. They are totally merging into each other. When you're washing the dishes, we have words of the ER, but we cannot find the dishwasher. We only call it like that. It's like a concept. Now, this may sound gibberish, but if you really look at it, when does this I am doing come from? Firstly, doing, okay, then I have to say, usually in fixing problems in the Western way, we are, example which I often share, our neighbor is playing very loud the piano. So what do? We go, instead of to the hospital, we take a big swing at him, and he cannot play loud piano anymore. Problem solved. That's an operation. Now, other solution is we give him a big bottle of whiskey, and also when he's drunk, he cannot play anymore. He will have headache tomorrow. That's just some medication which has some side effects. But how about just sitting next to this person, being present from a quality that is just there? And when you're just present there, yeah, of course, you can knock on the door or ring the bell, and then he will come, or so he stops and you talk, but just being present. And then only when he or she, in this case, the old neighbor, notices you sitting there, then he can react, take out or put in his hearing aid and say, hello, you're here. Sorry, I didn't know, but probably you heard me. I play piano because last year my mother, my wife died, and I play piano and I forget this. And then you start to speak from the heart to the heart. Now, so we can first think of doing something like the Western type of medication or therapy, then doing nothing. When we just sit there and doing nothing, but then we're still doing nothing, still a kind of doing. And then you come a little layer deeper in the not doing. And the not doing becomes then that there is no separate doer, so non-dual. And non-dual is actually that there is no separation. And here we have a screen, there are 4 people on it, like 4 fingers. But when we start seeing it, we're the same hand, we're the same arm, we're the same essence, which Caroline asked about. Then you start to change the perception. So when I am laying my hand on somebody in physical session, that means that in language we say, hey, I feel your hand. But that's not possible. It's my hand. If we use language again, it's my hand. You cannot feel my hand because it's mine. Yeah. Actually, thanks to the hand, you will feel your own shoulder. So only thanks to a difference, an otherness, yeah, an otherness, thanks to having another hand, you can feel yourself. Thanks to, in the past, it used to be a portable phone, and you would hear the echo going around. And thanks to having these 2 hemispheres, having another duality, apparent duality, we start to understand, hey, this is my shoulder. I didn't know it was that quality. And that's why there are these relationships to make each other clear. Okay, what is it that still needs to be dissolved within you so that it's neutral? Okay, so then this not doing quality actually becomes neutral in the sense that even if something is done, and we call it this biodynamic, this biodynamic sense of not doing means that you're holding the field, and whatever arises in the field becomes, okay, this is what it is, without a judgment, not even if there is judging, we're judging. And that makes it very safe, comfortable for those people to be in. So despite we have traumatic events happening all around us, like, for example, today there's this war, and emotions can arise, we realize that we are not our emotions. We're not the sensations. We're not actually that what we're doing. Now that has a big pitfall in it, because then we would depersonalize. Like, for example, what's happening now in the world. Okay, they are making war, but I'm not connected to it because I don't know this country, or I don't know these people, or
But it's too far away.
It's too far away. Yeah, but once we create this difference, it is different than if I identify. So the I becomes a dent, and I identify with it like, this is my country, my partner, my wife, then it is my hair, for example, yeah, which isn't there. So we really have to be careful of I am not doing or I am doing, because if we depersonalize, then we can say, it doesn't matter what we're doing, but it matters utmost, because there is no I in a way that we can find it. It also means there is no other. And then things are not just not personal, but everything becomes personal. And that is the big difference. So it is all encompassing. So everything is personal, and then we start to care about the ant on the floor where we're stepping on, and then we start to care about a dead mosquito, and we say, please, why didn't you come during the night and take my blood?
I like that.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes are very happy with that.
Yeah, but that's the natural way, I would say. And it's not making war, it's not being violent. I mean, nature cares, earth cares, we as human beings care, and it happens. So that is a little bit an explanation on what I mean, like the non-doing, the not doing.
The not doing, yeah. And do you think that this is also one of the reasons why people find this self-realization process so challenging? Because they create all kinds of, or they give value to things that they're just became part of who they think they are. Do you think that people give more value, or they identify too fast or too easy with things that probably they wouldn't have to do that? Do you think that a reason of having a challenge with self-realization, in the process of self-realization, is that people find it easy to either stay away from something, or turning something so personal to them that they, in the end, they keep on doing things, but in the end, nothing is happening? Do you think that that can be a sort of challenge?
Your question is regarding the personal development process, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So development means actually that it is enveloped before.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's already enveloped. And when we go in Dutch, I know you also speak Dutch. We say things become ingewikkeld in Dutch.
Yes.
And then we develop, and that is ontwikkelen.
Yes.
So from that sense, it becomes folded into each other, just like I used to live in Japan, just like origami. And when we have made a beautiful calligraphy on a piece of paper, and we fold it up into an origami, we can say, okay, this is a crane bird of this origami paper, because we recognize the shape and the form, but it's still a piece of paper. And only when we unfold this and unwrap it, then we can see, there's very beautiful calligraphy inside. And usually people tend to believe their thoughts. Yeah. So you're asking me, what do you think? And there's no thought. So, okay, and if there is a thought coming by to it, then I just say hello, goodbye. The thought arises from somewhere, goes to somewhere, but it's not essential. The thought itself is just something which goes along, just like a car passing. And I'm not going to like, where's the car, where's the car, where's the car? There's the car, yes, hello. And then I'm trying to hold the car. No, I mean, people usually don't care where a thought is coming from, but they care about the thought itself in words, which is a learned language. And if you have a problem with the thought, then start to think in Russian or in Swahili or in Eskimo language, or think in beautiful images or in lovely emotions. Start to change the way that is troubling you at the moment. Now,
Yeah.
once you start to develop these layers by layers, yeah, you come back to what you were. And when you were in the womb, you weren't thinking. And when you were a little born baby, you weren't thinking. You were simply being. So you cannot do anything to be. We're human beings. We're not human doings.
Correct.
And that is what we started to identify. We started to put our essence, our I, our sense of self, outside on what we're doing and putting value, which has no value, into those things which we believe are important to do. But somebody sold us this belief. And the belief is a thought about another thought. And no thought in itself is really true. So we really have to go beyond thoughts and realize, okay, the words and the thoughts we're thinking to are pointing to this essence or this source of whatever we call. But that is what makes us human. And if I tell you, stop doing this, then you can stop. If you are being said, stop being, you become, it's like a koan, you become still and then your thoughts are like, stop being, and they start to get stuck in a loop. Now, what happens is we have started to believe that we're a separate identity. A child of 3-4 years old starts to say, let's use your name, Rula. Rula was saying, Rula wants an ice cream. Rula wants to have chocolate. Rula doesn't want to sleep. Rula needs a hug. Rula doesn't, etc. You were talking about yourself with Rula because everybody around you was using this word from the moment you're born. So you started to use it as a marketing tool to get more chocolate, more ice cream, more hugs, and go to sleep later. But then you realized that using the word I made it even stronger. You would get more chocolate, more hugs, etc. So it's a kind of like life itself, learning things from the environment. It's not nature, it's nurture. To believe, to believe in that. Nothing wrong with language itself. It's a beautiful tool, but it doesn't really make what we believe fully true. Now, what we are doing then, brackets between the doing, is that we start to believe our thoughts to be true while they are not. And that goes slowly. I'm a beautiful girl. I'm not good enough. I'm bad in math. I'm good in sports, etc. All this is compiled until we're an adult or a teenager. And we put then a conviction into this, that what we are learned is true. Just like in a television, we are being programmed and it's channeled to us through a medium. And all these media, like we're using here now on the internet and a screen, and these media should be neutral in itself, but they are not. The mass media are telling you what to do. In the old days, we had paper. Some people don't know paper anymore. They only use a keyboard. And but if the paper is then saying, you're not allowed to write this, like it's now being done on Twitter, Facebook, etc. If the paper would say, you're not allowed to write this, you know, and there is greasy paper and things like that. And then we go like, come on, paper, I want to say this, I want to write this, and sticky paper. So yeah, the media itself is simply like the waves in the ocean going through the ocean as energy. And the media itself should be neutral, like we're all welcome here to talk with each other, and it's already a small assembly of 4 people. Now, once we have this conviction that, of course, the media should tell us what is right or wrong to say, because they are protecting us. For some, we all want to feel safe. Then what is happening? We start to believe that media should be the ones to tell us what is true or not true, even if that is a false belief. And that is what's happening in our brain as well. So we call it an ego, and an ego is like this program which we're watching on television, but it's a different kind of program. We're just believing it, and we even have dreams, and then some people believe what they dream in their dream and the matrix. Now, what is happening? This ego is at the moment starting to tell us, it's important to give me the power because I kept you safe for all those years. And that's the dark night of the soul. So you remember when we're singing the soul song, people come back to this heart, and in the heart there are no thoughts. There is wisdom coming through it clearly, and that is the big step, going from the head to the heart. And it's a small distance, but it's a huge step to get beyond this little ego. And the ego death for most people is this big obstruction, is maybe a good word in English.
Yes.
What you were asking in your question, how is it that people have so much difficulty with it?
Yeah.
And that is basically getting back to your origin, connecting back to source, your essence. And for that, all the belief system have to be broken down. And at this moment, we are in a male masculine based society where the intellect is. If I ask somebody, where is intellect? Well, usually people start to like a unicorn, something like this, very focused, like a laser beam from the head. And if I ask them, and where's your intuition? Oh, okay. And where's your insight? Oh, and where's your inspiration? And that is a totally different way of
approaching, of look at things,
exactly,
perceiving them, and go from there to maybe not doing anything, doing nothing, on thoughts, and how important it is to indeed give the space to the thoughts, not deny the thoughts that counts, but give the thought its proper space and its proper place as well. I've learned years ago something that it's part of it's actually lyrics from a song from a reggae artist friend of mine, and he sings somewhere, he says, seek the thoughts, seek the spaces in my thought to unlearn what I've been taught. And it really helped me, at least, to remember one of the most essential things that enable me to have less obstacles, at least to have the experience of less obstacles in my own self-realization process. And the other quote was that first we make our thoughts, and then the thoughts make us. And I never forget these two quotes, let's say, I never forgot them. And when I look at, for example, the way that you decided to live life, and the way that you decided to contribute in this assembly movement, and which is a global thing, and the way that you decided to look at the current situation, let's say the example of the war in Ukraine, what would you say that is the common denominator in your thought process and in your action? What is it? Because there has to be something that, after all this beautiful explanation how it really works, how can you implement that in the daily life? How do you do that?
All right. Trick question. I'm not doing it. No. Okay. What's arising? I like the word. What is arising? What's showing itself? Yes. What's coming up here? Yes. That would be from a sense of humanity. What is making us human beings? And that is connection, friendship, communication, nutrition, caring, those qualities are what making it humane. And there is nothing ever humane about war, aggression, violence. So first, maybe I already said it, most people don't want to be in this kind of a dispute. It's only a few. And I would say not they are at the top, they are at the bottom. And when we talk in English about our bottom, that is our behind, our buttocks, where we're sitting on, you're sitting on a chair. And they did this pointed top thing. They are like a needle, a pin, a punaise we call, sticking on the chair and making us jump and do something strange. And we jump against each other. And instead of talking to each other like, hey, you also speak this language, and oh, okay, etc. And we have this and this in common. And, oh, what kind of dog do you have? We would be, if it was on a holiday or a campfire, we would sit together, sing songs, and you know, become friends. And just because there is this little pin, they make us move, they give us a discomfort, an uncomfort. And we have not learned to be comfortable with our discomfort. Like they say, like, okay, we are at war. So what? Yeah, you are my little needle and I'll just put it away. And we will throw it out. You will not say, I put it now on my head. There is this little movie on my YouTube channel where there is this lady with a pin sticking out of it. And she's always like, ow, you know, and then he tries to give her a comment like, and he says, no, I just want you to listen to me. And then he says, okay, I understand you, why you have a headache, it's very unpleasant. And then they make kiss again, and then again she goes like, oh, because she's got this sticking out. And that is what we're doing. We are being troubled by a few people who have not our interest at heart. And if they would have our interest at heart, then they would not react in such a way. They forgot this. We have to put them in the middle of our big tribe of human beings and say a human being does not behave in this way. Probably you forgot. But thanks to them, we all now start to realize how important it is, and more important it is, to get to this space of humanity, of humane connection, of caring, etc. So that is very important. Instead of being in the fight or the flight or the separation, we really would like to feed each other with information. Caroline will wants to join us as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and you said before the information is also prana, which is also energy, but also knowledge. And ignorance is the biggest sin. So we have to inform each other. Like, you hurt me if you are putting your down top instead of.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is our position, to say and tell them you are hurting. And the only law, common law of nature is you shall not harm another being.
No harm. Yes. I want to come back to it, but first, Caroline.
Well, this is why it's so important that all the movements, everything which is happening now, is peaceful. There's a big accent on being peaceful, humane, as Gerald said. And that's something I wanted to add to everything Gerald said.
Thank you. Beautiful addition indeed, because peace is, at least to my acknowledgement so far, it's something that you are. It's not something that you do.
It's a space of staying in your center. And we have in English a very beautiful word. It's called a fulcrum. It's the eye of the hurricane. Yes. Or if you know this, where the little children are sitting on, the hinge itself is totally still. Or everything around it can can move. Now, what I've been, for answering your question about the war going on at the moment, I've been visiting Ukraine quite a lot. My first visit was in the 1990s, when I was still pursuing a different way in life. But what happens is that I went there to teach to trauma-related body work, emotional work, craniosacral, Nondual Biodynamics. And for me, that was a very interesting point to see how the people there were. They just had their freedom back after being under the Soviet repression for such a long time. And the country was developing, letting go of all these, the first time I went there, everybody looked like a robot face, but people were smiling, and people were getting used to being free, to speaking their own language, Ukrainian again, etc. I thought all the people there, they were positive, enthusiastic, this go west idea of a new developing country, in a good sense, positive, caring.
I lose you.
Yeah, it seems the internet the internet is yes, we had frozen windows. Okay, so I hope connection will stay there.
Yes, now it's stable.
Okay. Yes, I'm still there.
Okay. Yes, all right. I see you and I see you. Yes. Wonderful.
Yeah. So I just shared a little bit about the Ukraine, and I've been there after that many times. I've given there seminars and courses, and know the people personally, from the little children till the grandmothers. Also privately, I went there to the Ukraine specifically. I drove my own car through the Ukraine to Odessa even, and to Bulgaria, Varna. And it's a beautiful country. And I remember once my car had a flat tire, and we were in like a valley with very steep mountains next to it, and it was getting dark. And so we would be stuck in nowhere land. And just a car with two guys, they came out, and they were just saying, okay, do you need help? Yes, chuck, chuck, chuck. And in 10 minutes, they fixed it. I offered them a little bit of money. No, not at all. Phew, they were gone. So it was, I mean, that's how the people are there. That quality of humane is there. So that's why it really is touching for me to see the suffering of the people, the normal people. And then the so-called woke movement here, then they are seeing, oh yeah, Putin has done this, and there is this going on, and then they are welcoming a war. And I'm like, where is your heart in this? Because a lot of people are suffering in daily life. And I talked to some people today. Ones are fleeing the country, others have to stay because they have to be with their grandmother. And others, they are like, okay, I'm really in trouble with my family. My parents, they grew up with the Soviet Union. They would like to welcome the Russians, but the children are totally free. They want to be in a free country in Ukraine. And that is really, really touching. People lose their life. People lose their livelihoods. People have fires. One friend who came from Kharkiv, he said, my father is still remaining there, but in his little town there were 2 explosions in the past days. And so it's that humane quality which I think people are losing, both in mass media but also in social media, and that's the most important.
Well, when it comes to social media, I do have something to share. And the thing is, what has been going on for a long time becomes visible at all levels. Different things become visible when it comes to social media, and how the coverage has been so far on particularly the war in Ukraine. It is, I have to say, I'm quite disappointed. I'm quite disappointed in the people who consider themselves as putting things out there from the place of, let's say, journalism, or the place of a blogger or a vlogger or an activist. Quite disappointed because there was a very short video of someone on TikTok, I think. He used some profanity, and he was like, where have you been all this time, all of you? Not just the media, not just the mainstream media, right? But especially the people on social media, and even those who decided to go, for example, and change the profiles with the Ukrainian flag. It's just an example, right? And the guy says into the video, where have you been all this time? For not just Ukraine, because Ukraine thing is going on since late 2013.
Yeah,
right?
well, that is only a small part of the story of the story of the story of the story of the story.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But just for example, as Ukraine, and the guy says in the video, where have you been when Yemen, for example, Yemen is still going on. I mean, you don't have to go a little bit further. You just, where have you been for the West Bank, Israel, Gaza Strip? Where have you been for so many stories in other areas where war hasn't stopped? I mean, it's been going on and on and on.
Yeah.
And this is where my disappointment comes when it comes to social media, because when you talk about mainstream media that that just do what they've been told to do, then what is left there is the social media, right? And I'm quite disappointed, to be honest. Anyhow, maybe it's an expectation of mine. It's possible. In any case, I would love to know from you, Gerald, and maybe one of the ladies or both of you can just jump in. How would you go into knowing what you know, implementing it in so many different areas in your life? How do you do that with the current situation? I mean, there is so much pressure going on for longer than these 2 years of the corona thing, as I call it, or pandemic, as I call it. How do you take all this knowledge and all this wisdom that you gain through your experiences and also exercising your profession, right? How do you take all that and implement it in a daily life with all this pressure going on? How do you do that? How do you do this?
Yeah.
What will be
okay, there are two ways. There are two ways. I'm not sure if I can find it quickly. Yeah, sometimes an image says more than 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
And I say an experience says more than 1,000 images, and the realization says more than 1,000 experiences. I will just show this on the camera. I don't think this is just a small piece of paper. You can see it, and here you will see that this is this unfolding of things. And sometimes people only see this, and because it is in front of the camera, you only think, okay, this is a little square. And only when you turn it, you think, it's even a smaller square. But you cannot see all these folded layers inside, and even something is written in there and something is colored in there. So when we see reality as folded up, and we see only, okay, and our attention is focused on this little thing, we forget that 99% of the other things are okay. Do you have something to eat today? Yeah. Do you have something to drink today? Yes. Do you have a roof? Yes. Then you are already having it better than 95% of the people on this planet at this moment. So what are we to complain about whatever is happening? Firstly, let's create a better world together. And that is our short-sightedness because our attention is moved to, by purpose, on the place. But if we once start to care really for each other, okay, you know, why are there still people who don't have a house? And actually, I call them the people who are staying in a house, I call them streetless, you know, not roofless, but streetless people. And that's maybe a Dutch joke, staatloos in plaats van dakloos. So, yeah, so once you start to reverse the things, yes, a lot of trouble is going on. Why? Because once our attention is focused, there is not enough of something, then only we think and we give our energy away. Mm-hmm. When we start to realize planet Earth has there for millions of years, billions of years, and it has sustained life for all these periods. So why would we even bother of charging something which is Mother Earth providing to us? Why should we bother other people to create something based on this? Once we take a breath, yeah, deep in our lungs, okay, where does that breath start? At our mouth, okay. So where does the air start? Here, okay. Where does the oxygen come from? From the trees. So our trees, the atmosphere is our lungs. Now, if we would say, without being blasphemic, God exists, then where is God? God is everywhere, right? So God is inside of you, inside of you, inside of you, inside of me, inside of everything and everyone. So the body itself, your thoughts, your soul, your heart, what we say, what we think, what we do, our actions, right actions, juiste, are divine already. There is nothing wrong with being part of this wholeness already. So treat yourself and the other person as something holy, as a temple. And that part of holiness, I do sacral work, craniosacral work. The sacral bone is called in Dutch heilig from wholesome, wholeness, health. They have the same root.
And so you go back to the basic.
Basically, people's attention is put there, just like a horse, and we only need a little person sitting on the big elephant, and the big elephant will start to go away. But as I mentioned before, yes, war has been there. Why? Why has there been war? Why has there been violence? Why has there been people to convince you that those things are okay? And that is never okay. So the point is not where have you been, but what makes it that you're not crossing the street when somebody falls down, when there's somebody without a roof. And we all have to do this. That's basically the point what we are not talking about. What makes it that we are disbehaving, that we're taught in a wrong way, and everybody is simply accepting it.
And blind eye, or
just and that's why it's good people ask questions. Yes. So that's why good that people are asking questions, like Caroline is putting up her hand.
Caroline, go ahead.
Unmuted.
I just unmute. Yes. Well, what I understood from you, Rula, that you said there's so much pressure. How do you cope with it? How do you implement it in daily life? Now, I think we are all different, and I can only speak for myself, but I always say, what I have always had as an attitude, which has turned out to be equality for me, I'm not talking about other people, is to understand what comes, what happens, but understand on a more profound thing. So I inform myself, and then I can let go, because for 2 years now I have no television anymore. I don't follow the mainstream. I don't follow nothing. Just I try to find the points where I can get information, and then I can let go. And of course, what Gerald said, it's about what do you want, how do you want to build your future. For me, it's very important to understand what has been. I discover that everything I thought was just illusion, was false. And that's a big thing which is falling apart, and that's a very good thing. But yeah, it's like sometimes a detective in myself, and then I think, okay, go. And I can, it's like letting go burdens, not burdens, but luggage up there. And then I open up and I can go. Is that clear, or does it seem very confused?
Not at all. It's very, very clear. It's a very welcome
Yes.
contribution. Yes. Sometimes I forget how to say things in a very simple way. When Gerald was 19 years old, he was sitting, as a teenager, I already did meditations, Zazen, Vipassana, and I played Go, which is a Buddhist game, strategic game, and I'm sixth dan amateur semi-prof. I stayed and studied in Japan there for a long time, and I played national European World Championships, and I coached children with it. But I've been teaching for more than 40 years. So on my 19th, I was doing some fasting, and after that, I, as a student, stayed inside an atomic bunker in the Alps in Porrentruy in Switzerland, behind huge steel doors. And there was total darkness in these caves, I would call it, in the mountain. It was for playing the European Congress then. And when you're totally inside the mountain, there was a big sleeping dorm with some bunk beds, and one night there was still one more French student, and after that I was there all alone. And there was no sound, no light, no change in temperature, no change in air movements, no sensual perception at all. And afterwards, only much later, I realized, that's what the people in India are doing, or those monks are doing. They're sitting inside the caves for ages. So, Gerald, it's timeless. Although I was a teenager, I had read a lot of Krishnamurti and Osho, and for Gerald at that moment, it was very simple arising. Those thoughts, they just come and go. The sensations in the body just come and go. And the same stillness is always there. And it took me 30 or 3 decades before I could find the words how to put it from Bhagavad Gita about what had arisen. And once you start to see through these convictions, delusions, we call them, that we are our thoughts, our feelings, our body, our whatever, so this deep stillness, which Caroline also mentioned, that stayed with me since I was 19. And after that, I went to live in Japan, and at a certain moment, everything becomes meditation.
Correct.
Not to, not to go into too much details about it. But Caroline, yes.
It becomes part of your life. Caroline.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to add, I don't know if you know that on Malta, you have a couple of the temples, and every time you look at it, they do not know where it comes from. And actually, they are Mother of Earth temples. And there is in Malta, in the cities themselves, itself, they have a Hippodeum, I think it's called, of Hippodeum, and it's something, a cave. Well, actually, you can go in with 10 people because they don't allow more. Then they put something on your head, which I didn't do, sort of explanation, and you go 1 stair down, 2 stairs down, 3 stairs down, and all of a sudden, it's as if you went right into the middle of the earth, and it's as if you went into a point where there's nothing anymore. It was incredible. And I really advise you, if you happen to go to Malta, to do the Hippodeum. It's beautiful because there you really go into touch with, the point where there is a void.
That would be great. And I would like to ask you, Caroline, to send the information to me,
Yeah,
so
will.
we can share it with
Yeah, yeah.
viewers.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You've not been to Malta?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. But you've Greek origins, right?
Yes, originally my parents are Greeks. I was born in Holland, grew up until I was 20 in Greece, and came to Holland as what the Dutch would call economical refugee.
Mm.
For a better financial situation, I came back to the place where I was born, and I've been here since, ever since. Yeah, so Malta, definitely, it's on the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now I have a specific reason why I have to be in Malta. I was interested in your perspective, Denise. Maybe you would like to share with us, how do you think that can be a way of dealing with the pressure that we talk about? And it hasn't been going on for the last 2 years, it's been going on for such a long time. And what did you find useful so far to deal with this pressure, and how did it work for you?
Yes, I must agree, I think, with Gerald. We must think about the positive things, and I let go the negative. So when I look in the news, I see the negative, so I know I want to know everything, but what I think is how we will change it. I don't let my feelings in the negative. So it's important to know what's happening, but I found it more important that you feel that you want to change it. That, yes, as a child, I always wondered why adults did what they did. So I thought, so the people must come together and search for the best solution for all, and live a happy and good life with plenty of everything. And it's possible to do. I can't see why there are people who want own everything, and so much people who have nothing. So I can't bevatten. I can't understand. Yes, I can't understand how that's possible, because I know it's good to have some luxury and have a funny life, but you don't need so much while other people are starving. They don't have food, so or not a house or so, and that I can't understand in why the human nature is became like that, because it looks very unreasonable to me. So there is enough. Let us share ideas so that we can build a really happy life for everybody on the world. It's possible. So why are people not doing that? Why is that ego so important?
Yeah.
Of course, it's the way a child are treated in the school, treated in the schools. It's always competition. Why should there be? Why there is no need for competition? We must do our best in the sense of look after the best solution, but not be the best, because life is a short time that we're here. We are just using, how do we say it? We just we hebben het alleen in gebruik. We just use the things. We don't own anything.
Yeah,
we think we own anything, something, but it's not true. It's an illusion. So why all the war and all the difficulties just for money or power? I can't ik kan dat niet bevatten. I don't understand that, because
I see you, Caroline. Yeah. So what you say is, do not deny what it is, that negative energy.
Yes. Yeah. You have to know what's happening.
Not focus on it.
Yes, but I think, yeah.
mention it, do not focus on it, and focus on what brings you further,
Yeah.
what makes actually the best version of you to
Yeah.
unfold
Yeah.
in all your doings. And
Yeah.
Caroline.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Denise is saying. It's absolutely true what she's saying. To my opinion, it's the shaping of perceptions. And then we go back to everything Gerald explained.
Yes.
Now, I have been implicated for years now, since 2018, 19, I think, in the Sister House, which is actually an initiative of the Plateforme Citoyenne in Brussels, in order to get the women out from the streets, where there's a lot of violence, and it's about what they call transmigranten. Actually, it's the refugees coming from mainly Ethiopia, Eritrea, and so I got very much in touch with these young women who have nothing, and they have been through a circus of denial of asylum, and that is again politics in Europe. And the last step, and this is where the Sister House came in, is that they want to go to England, because there they have the hope to get asylum papers, because they want to work. That's it, and they have nothing to lose. And I don't know if you remember now, what, a couple of months ago, I think, all of a sudden we had this boat sinking in close to Calais, and 29 died. 2 girls were in it, I know. Yes. And I remember we were sitting at the table, and I already knew that they got little boats and tried to go to England. And one of the girls was saying, well, she went with a boat. I said, what, aren't you afraid? I mean, I would be deadly afraid. And they were laughing at the table. And she said with a movement, I'm not afraid. And then she did that, because they're all very attached to their religion, and God is protecting me. And she said, well, yes, it was a bad boat, and she tried again. And then she's somewhere in the North Sea right now, and I will never forget that face that looked at me. She had nothing to lose. It was that way, because this is what the girls say, that we cannot go back. It's one way forward, whatever madness is happening. And that is, when I talk about it, it's really my heart is trying. Because I hear so many times they come and take our work, or what are they coming to do here? That here in Belgium, very often they say vreemdelingen, strangers, probably strangers. Else. And they're just like us. They want the same life, you see? But and I'm not going into the politics now, but no. I mean, I will never forget that laughing face saying, I don't care. And next time I go again, and there she went.
Is that sharp focus on where they want to go, what they want to achieve in the end?
Because there's no way back.
That is what matters. That is where they put the value, actually, right? And they do not identify with the surroundings or the circumstances or whatever.
We have to.
Thank you. Beautiful example. Is this what you mean, Gerald? That when we do not identify, when we find ourselves in a non-dual, is that where, let's say, wonders start to happen? Or
okay, when I was
not doing anything, we are
no. Things are happening. They are unfolding, and we whether there is free will or not, that depends. Like, for example, for us to have this conversation here today, for you to watch and hear us talk, for you to listen, you had to push the button. So now you're seeing us talk, and then we had to come together today. It's even the dates, it's sometimes not really clear. Somewhere in March 2021 we are, and before that we still had to make this appointment. Before that Denise and Caroline had to talk to me, and before that I had to meet you. And from this moment here, when you're watching, and then there is another moment in time, but time itself is fluid. So where did it start? When did you get this idea of I will watch until here, what Gerald is saying? And we call one way is entropy and the other one is syntropy. And syntropy means that it is Z which invites Y to be X, etc. It's the not causality, but it's the retrocausality, we call it. And that is this divinity which is in all of us, and thought cannot follow there, but it's in our heart. It's a kind of inspiration place. Why do you go there? Yeah, you know that you think of somebody and the phone is ringing. So did you think of that one because the phone was going to ring, or did it ring and that's why you thought already before that? So time space is a delusion, one of the many. And once we start to see that things are coming towards, they, in Dutch we say, ze vallen ons toe, they coincide, they're coming towards it, then you start to see, okay, we have to go through all these, at this moment, disasters, but thanks to this girl acting out of her inspiration, we talk about her and other people can use her story again. Okay, so from 1 billion years in the future, this small part of the evolution process, as I may call it, is not so important for the total of the universe. But once we become totally open, the universe, as it's a verse, it's a song, we become instrumental for that. So the source or the universe or whatever is guiding us towards this. Now, we want to be in our song harmonic. We call it coherence, art coherence. We want to become harmonic in our hearts. Even a small child will know this is okay and this is not okay. Yeah, just give a small baby a small rabbit, a puppy rabbit, little rabbit, and an apple. Yeah, our little human baby will start to bite in the apple and will play with the rabbit. If you put it with a wolf, a puppy wolf, it will play with the apple and eat the rabbit. So nature doesn't judge about it. We only use our patterning, our brain to decide this is good, this is bad. Nature does not, it's just a space of resonance. Now, with all of this, we have our personal drama, our personal stories, where we say, this is me, this is my family, this is my body, this is my country, this is my flag, you know. We have the Olympics trying to put you to identify yourself with the country, with the flag, etc. And all of that is actually separation. We are calling each other's names, and we are spelling in words, and we put a spell on you, and we write cursive, and where the language is kind of the opposite of what's happening. And okay, so one person is saying, look at this, look at this, look at this, and everybody goes that, oh, well, on the other side, there's this famous study they've done. How many times do you see this basketball go up and down? And then there was a guy in gorilla suit passing through the screen. Nobody saw the gorilla suit. Yeah, that's an old video clip. And once you have the 12 monkey experiment, and they've done it with humans, and at a sound everybody starts up, and then they follow, and they have done that so many times in different ways, but people are then just copying the behavior of previous people without really independent critical thinking. So just one thing. So in 2005, there was Colin Powell at the UN. He was the Secretary of Staff, and he showed a little vial, a little bottle with a white powder. Oh, in Iraq, they are making this biological weapon. And that's, you say, so bad, so we invade Iraq, because, and it was fake, of course. well, I'm using the word, of course, because we've now known a lot of things all over the
Yes, we
years.
do.
And today, we know that there are maybe 336 biological research laboratories, let's call it
Yes.
that way, to be politically correct and not call it biological weapons laboratories, production sites, in more than 30 countries, done by the United States.
But
So
maybe
if
you have to call it biological weapons because that's what it is.
That's what
and
it is.
none,
So let's just
none,
call it like that. Maybe
Yeah.
that is what.
yeah, but none of us human beings, 99% of the people didn't ask them to do it, but they
True.
did it anyway. And
Yeah.
we didn't ask them to show this little vial
Yeah.
on a meeting. The United Nations is the highest organization, they claim. Yeah, and there they are doing this, and we are saying, oh yeah, thank you very much. Oh yeah, very good. So now there are 336 laboratories done by the United States. So repercussing it, all the other countries in the world should basically then attack the United States, because they've done the same since the United States exists 280 years. More than 93% of the time, the United States has been in war, internally or externally. And 81% of all the problems, ignitions in the world have been started by the United States. So when one other country is now saying, hey, come on, you've done something in Ukraine, you've got there 25 laboratories, and China is asking them now, of course, they already knew it. And nobody asked anybody to make biological weapons. Of course, it's good to do research if it's sound scientifically, but sound science doesn't exist. Most of the reports are paid and sponsored for a certain result, and that is quackery. That's pseudoscience. I'm sorry that I feel a bit strong about this, but that is, the two sides are clear. And I was talking about a paper, you shouldn't write this, and now it appears that the media are creating us to read what we should be writing ourselves.
Lots of experiences to share on this topic only. However, what I do understand, Denise, you want to comment on something, or due to
Yes,
your time, you want to, yes, go ahead.
I'm not used to speak in English. I read a lot in English, but not speaking, no. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but it's all about control. There are a few people who want control about everything, but I don't get it, because what makes them feel happy about having control of everything? So you can't perhaps be much happier when you're much less control. That's what I don't understand of human nature, because the way they are acting, while it could be a paradise for everybody. So, yeah, I find it very difficult. I don't understand. I can't read the minds of those people. I can't read the minds of those scientists who want to collaborate with such things like biolabs. So they made me offer 100 million. I would never do such things when you know that it can harm people. So, yeah.
I hear you.
Yes, it's incredible. I really find it very incredible. There is a lot I don't understand of humans, I think.
Well, I think that the humans themselves might be also like you, thinking like, I don't understand why I did that, or how did I come to that conclusion. Due to my profession and my interest in human behavior, I study human behavior, and the last 25 years I had the opportunity to develop more awareness and understanding on how trauma, for example, works, and also to see what are the ways that people choose to deal with it in order either and that's the reality, either to sustain that very trauma that causes so much problem, or to find ways to heal themselves, to remember who they are, and they come back to that wholeness that Gerald was talking about. And what I found out is that indeed the only moment that we as human beings decide to do things differently will be either because we are so desperate that what we've been doing all this time doesn't work, or we are so highly inspired. So either desperation or inspiration can really help ourselves to deprogram ourselves, and it is a matter of deprogramming ourselves. Right now, how do you do that? I ask myself, how? Okay, now you know what are your convictions. Now you know the kind of drama that you've been living, caused by the trauma that you have been living because you believed in it and you lived it, right? So where do you go from here? And the answer has been given to me in two words, and that is personal responsibility. And it was, I've been through different adventures in my life, let's just put it in this way, right? And maybe Gerald can share with us as well what you share with Desiree on these 9 lives. But I've been in different adventures in my life, and what I've realized that each and every time that either out of desperation, either out of inspiration, I started to think differently and do stuff in a different way, I found myself one step a little bit further in my self-realization process. So back to you, Gerald. A little bird told us that you talked about these 9 lives of yours. Like, okay. Please share with us, what did you mean when you talked about it? Well, what is this 1 life and 9 lives that you're talking about, that you share with, for example, Desiree?
Yeah, well, okay. What she's referring to, I recently.
Referring to what I just shared with you on the level of taking personal responsibility and creating this personal leadership of your life. So, what can you share with us on this?
There is a little pitfall if we still believe that it is my personal responsibility. Responsibility is an ability to respond on that what is happening around us.
Yes.
And not all of us have the tools to and the skills, or are able to connect to those people who have those tools or skills. And that's why how do we create strength? And that is only by connecting and accepting that we're different, and that Denise has her strength and Caroline, and we're being taught like, you're not good enough in this, you're not good enough in this. But if that's all, then all the rest is like very good. And people are perfect, including their imperfections. And firstly, accept that you are deserving all these places of abundance, of welcoming, of strengthening. There is a big difference that you have qualities of leaders, and some are repressing, and you become powerless, and others are uplifting and they empower you. And those are not leaders, they are builders. When we say this, actually in language nowadays, politicians use it the other way around, like build back something, or build better, or whatever. They mean it not for all the people. And there is this beautiful little video of this lady explaining, like, we're like a pool of water. And still there is this pyramid of power. I like the Bosnian pyramid. The power is at the bottom there, also there. But this healing space, if all these cubes of sugar dissolve, the sugar is, the sweetness is still inside this pool, and they become together. And this whole idea of separating us is the pinnacle, We are one cell, and we think logically because we're taught, but that's not biologically. Yet two cells become one, and it's wonderful to see it. It's not the first one. No, all in nature is functional. So you have this one ovum. It's also on my YouTube channel, and you see all these sperm around it, and then free multidimensionally it starts to spin, and only then there is a merging of this life and going then from source, from the creation. At the moment of conception, the energy, the light, I was seeing, and I could tell the mother of my sons, hey, we are pregnant. Only 3 days later, she noticed it physically, but the moment of ignition of this energetic burst, and I'm not the only one. I know many people who have experienced this as well, this similar experience. Now, why I'm sharing this is that our divinity is basically the tool, and that is enforcing and empowering us, and that's what they're taking away from us. So lifting somebody up to be empowered and know how to respond, yeah, is one way, but asking the questions that matter, yeah, is even more important. And then we will get to the who, where, how, why, when, what for, etc. And then we got, but ask them all at the same time, ask them on each chakra, whatever, but find that the answers are coming towards you and that the answer often lies below where the question is. And that takes the root within. A door opens within, and we are learned that we always have to find it outside of ourselves. We need to control and have security by having and owning something. And that is not the way in. Always feeling safety, security within ourselves. Whatever matters, yeah, you will live with that.
So actually, did you say that self-realization is a collective thing?
Yes and no, because
yes and no.
Yes and no.
When it comes to responsibility, it's a collective thing. Yes and no.
So when I was teaching in Ukraine, I would say "Nida ni niet." They speak Russian and Ukrainian, so neither yes, or both yes and no. It depends if we zoom in like a microscope, if we zoom out like a telescope. So individual consciousness or creative intelligence, and in between there is these waves of collective consciousness. So once we start to understand that we don't have to separate ourselves, but that they are there at the same time. Yeah. So there is both this level of, let's call it at night, there are stars, right? And then sometimes we see the moon, but we don't see the sun. And during daytime, we see the sun and the moon is there sometimes, but we don't see the stars because we can't perceive it. It doesn't mean it's not there. Correct. So now going back to the question of what's all going,
especially
the nine lives. The 9 lives. I'm coming towards that to bring a little bit the mosaic, the puzzle pieces.
They're waiting.
Yeah. No. So what is all going around? And we call it even draconian measures. Why do we call it draconian measures? And it's inhumane. So the question is there. We find these pyramids. We find those big buildings. We find the Bosnian pyramids. We've got the Temple of Osiris. We've got huge blocks in Baalbek. We've got Easter Island. We've got all the even 250 pyramids in China. And I remember one Egyptian minister of tourism or whatever, corrupt one, and he was like saying, no, in Bosnia it cannot be a pyramid because pyramids are only in Egypt, so it can be that one. And
hilarious.
Yes. So okay, so where did Gerald come from? Why do I say 9 lives? So I started off in the Netherlands where I'm born, and at a certain moment I studied economics. At the same time, I already as a teenager read thousands and thousands and thousands of books, and I started studying a lot of Osho, Bhagwan at the time, Krishnamurti, and I started to play this Buddhist just martial art. I call it an art. And then while I was in Amsterdam studying, I also started to live for some time in Paris, and then I won a European tournament. I could get a ticket to Japan, so I stayed there for 6 years. I've been in Japan, of course, playing Go a lot, up to studying it 10 hours a day, also teaching English to big companies, like, you know, the big companies. I even was an actor there. I stood in front of the class in a high school with 50 students. I, with a friend who feels like a brother to me, we did some import-export business. So I've done a lot there. Then I lived in Malaysia for some time, traveled Singapore, Hong Kong, etc. And the mother of my children is somebody I met in Japan. We both studied there then. But she's a Chinese from Malaysia. So Malaysia is kind of like a home. And at home, we spoke Japanese together, Chinese Mandarin with the kids and Dutch with the kids. And I joined a huge company, in the biggest company in the world, when I returned to Europe, and we did 78,000 products. So I did a lot of investment projects and became very much involved in food business, organic business. And I still had people coming on my table to give them a massage or a session, things like that. I've always felt energy, seen things, clear perception, as we call it. I've been 15 years in the Reiki crisis team in the Netherlands. I lived in Denmark before I moved now to Belgium. I worked in a cooperative. I set up a cooperative. We've done like everything, dairy products, you name it, all kinds of products. We had like 10,000 people, 210 offices. 4,000 joint ventures, 800 daughter companies. So it was really sitting on behind the chessboard and understanding that, okay, our AAA rating allowed us to borrow money and then lend it out again to other banks and even making money from interest rates and all these kind of things. I always enjoyed doing the business when both people are smiling. What I saw in that business environment, it's not really about that economic thing. When we talk economics, it's not about sustainability. And sustainability is where we treat the environment and the world the same way as we should be treating it from our heart, yes, with respect. So that's just a few lives that you get. I have a medical education, and then I set up my own clinic. I studied shiatsu, some of it, craniosacral, traditional biodynamic, the more mechanic type, neurosystem manipulation. I have been giving satsang. I've been giving. I'm an Osho meditation trainer. I can continue. I've got a whole list of 2 pages here in front of me if you want to read them, but I don't think this is, I checked it up for the meeting. I don't know what you were going to ask. Yeah. I worked at the biggest bank insurance company here in Belgium. I even worked at the airport after the bomb explosions were here in Zaventem at the Belgian airport. So yeah, so if I'm talking about that, and there is a lot of experience also from all these fields when I'm doing nothing, which is then behind the curtain. And yeah, I speak 7 languages more or less. So, but it's not about speaking those languages. It's about the cultures and realizing that when people ask me from where you're from, and I say from planet Earth, and that's the only real answer as human beings here. And even our Earth spaceship is like moving through space-time in a certain way. So there are a lot of things which I can talk about on a physical, energetic healing level. Sharing is healing, as I say. For the moment, a lot of people are stressed as you understand, with COVID. Already, I'm
Yes.
aware about the non-proven viruses for more than 20 years. I was living in Japan and somebody came with a diagnosis of HIV and was put in quarantine and shipped back to Germany. And from that moment, I investigated what was the cause, and there was only 5 studies which were finding a coincidence of using poppies in the environment where they were testing. So there has never been any causality other than claiming something. And I remember the pharmacist at that moment was telling me, Gerald, people who are using the herbals are still alive, but the ones who are taking AIDS medication, they die because of the medication. So from that perspective, I started the first groups here for Viruswaarheid in Belgium on Facebook, and I co-organized the first demonstration here in Belgium as well, physically in Brussels, and I've been active behind that movement for getting the people on their feet. I think it's very important to speak our truth, to be heard, and to say we do not agree. Because if everybody who doesn't really want this have their voice, but we vote, we give our voice away, stemmen we call it, we give our voice, our stem away, and then they are abusing it, but they use it in a way, they call it democracy, with an N inside it, and they're doing something which we don't ask. It's not angelic what they are doing, it's really that part. So to really be empowered as sovereign, as free beings, it is not only from what we do on a piece of paper, but especially how we act, react, and interact with each other from our souls and hearts.
And by doing that, we always have to start with ourselves. How do we interact with ourselves?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Caroline had a question.
Yeah, sorry, it's I have to leave you at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Very interesting and.
For my feeling, at least, we do come to the end of this conversation. But before we close it, I would like you, Gerald, to remind us of what is coming when it comes to your trainings that you give, the workshops, sessions. Please tell us a little bit, place, date, and what is it about?
Okay, all right. I'll just mention that the people can look it up. It's called Nondual, so Nondual, and then biodynamics.com. That is the website. They can find more information. Non-dual comes from Advaita, which means not two, which is not one. I call it two unity in order for you to understand that there is more layers to it and it becomes empty at the end. Biodynamics, for people who are not familiar with organics or Rudolf Steiner, or they don't know this word that much, but biodynamics stands for biologic, natural, dynamic processes which are happening through the body, through life, like the waves, and they dissolve. Yeah. And that is happening in our emotions, in our psyche, but especially also in the body. The body consists of fluids. We don't just have to know anatomy, but especially that things are fluid, and that there is a movement going from it. And once we take away we can call it trauma or encapsulated parts. And I work also from the laws of nature, but especially from craniosacral therapy, by really settling into parasympathetic, so dissolving it. You can find my trainings on my website. There will be one starting on the 17th of March, which is called Emotions, Energy and Movement. But it's especially to go in our sympathetic in order to settle down again in parasympathetic. So you can be outside of your comfort zone, which we call the discomfort zone, but to be outside of our comfort zone and be okay with it enlarges our comfort zone. Okay, and then I give meditations, I give webinars, I give sessions for people, and sometimes a whole trajectory to guide them. On just the non-duality part, it's important to see through those delusions, and there is some process for that as well. Does that, yeah.
Thank you. I will definitely enclose the information that you can share with us, like your website and anything that can be of an additional value concerning the 17th, and of course on how you just don't do what you do, or you do what you don't do. I would like to ask both ladies if you have any kind of additional comments, or you want to share something that you feel that you want to share. And go ahead, Caroline.
Yeah,
By the way, enjoy your meal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I have to another conference in 15 minutes, so I
understand.
I had to feed myself. Hey, listen, no, it was very interesting, and no, I don't think I have anything to add. I mean, okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Please.
Silence. I suppose she had to go into the shop.
All right. Well, we wish you all the best, and definitely.
Yeah.
No, she is there. Denise is there. I can see her.
Yes, I can see her. Yes, Denise.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, you're unmuted.
Yes, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
No, we can't hear you now.
Okay.
Maybe your microphone or your earphones.
Maybe you can try to unmute.
No. Okay.
All right.
All right. One more thing. Let's also include, if okay with you, the website of the Belgium Assembly.be, because there is where we're actually building up the new world together. And that is very important. And we're not alone in this. There are many organizations who resonate in the same field. And it's important to interconnect it. It's happening now also on a global scale, that these are interconnected, and it's from the people, by the people, for the people, with the people.
With the people, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Denise, would you like to give one more try to see if you can? Or now she is frozen.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. The universe doesn't comply.
In any case, yes, still frozen.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all. I really, really appreciate the time that you chose to make. I appreciate your sharing from the heart. I really, really appreciate that. We need to exchange not just our views, but above all, the beat of our hearts. That is what I believe, and this is what continues to makes us humans, with all the with anything that makes us humans. And I really appreciate you as individuals, as professionals, and I'm looking forward to hear the reaction of our viewers. And I want to wish you all the best in all your endeavors, and to see you very soon, and to squeeze you in a hug like never before.
Okay, thank you very much, and it was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye.